Hello all, welcome back to Time to Dice Character Creation, where we make your favorite fictional characters in Pathfinder and Starfighter 2nd Edition. Today, we're creating the boy savior himself. Born in the unforgiving streets of Zon, Ekko is a brilliant inventor who can bend time to his will. With his signature creation, the Z-Drive, he explores countless possible outcomes to turn the impossible into reality first try. So beware of spoilers, and without further ado, let's get started. So what do we need to make the boy who shattered time? Well, first, we need to use the Z-Drive to enhance our fighting style with both speed and power. Next, we'll want the ability to use parallel convergence to slow enemies down and maybe even freeze them in time entirely. And finally, if we don't succeed the first time, we'll activate Chrono Break, letting us rewind the clock, try again, and recover a bit of health in the process. After all, everyone deserves a second chance, or a third, fourth, and fifth. Ekko is a human, so we're going to use the human ancestry. This gives us 8 hit points, a medium size, and a 25-foot movement speed. We'll put our attribute boost into dexterity and intelligence. And finally, we'll pick the versatile human heritage to grab the incredible initiative general feat for a +2 bonus to all initiative rolls. After all, it's hard to get a drop on a guy who can literally turn back the clock whenever things don't go his way. We'll pick up the time traveler background, giving us another boost to dexterity and intelligence, and training in 3 lore skills of our choice. We're going to go Zon lore, Hex Tech lore, and Underworld lore. But feel free to go with something that will help you a little bit more in your campaign. I don't think Zon lore is going to help out much in Galarian. This background doesn't give us a skill feat, but it does give us the bend time action. Meaning once per day is a free action, we can quicken ourselves to get an extra action that we can only use to stride. For our class, we hit a bit of a snag. We need the power to shatter timelines, which, as you might expect, is some pretty high level magic. But in combat, we're mostly just swinging a weird clock themed club thing. The Mage's class fits the bill, but we'll need to keep that time-breaking magic thing in mind for later. As a Magus, we'll start with 8 plus our Constitution modifier hit points per level, and we're trained in Perception and Reflex saves, but our Fortitude and Will saves will be expert right out of the gate. For our skills, every Magus gets Arcana, but we'll take Acrobatics and Athletics for mobility, Crafting for building time machines, Occultism for understanding timelines, and Stealth, because growing up in Zon teaches you to keep your head low. Weapon-wise, we can use all simple and martial weapons, though we'll want to keep our hand free for something special later. And armor-wise, we're technically proficient in up to medium armor, but with our high dexterity, we're going to want to pack light. For our attributes, strength will start at a +1. It's not our main claim to fame, but you don't grow up in Zon without learning how to throw a punch. Dexterity comes in at a +4. We don't just leap around the battlefield, we leap around the timeline. Our constitution clocks in at a +0. Vi's industrial gauntlets look like they hurt, so let's try not to tank too many punches. Intelligence is at +3. We may not be the most notable inventor in the Twin Cities, but to be fair, we don't exactly have access to the same resources the others do. Wisdom is at a +1. Part of being the boy savior is having the perspective to find solutions to impossible problems. And finally, charisma is at a +0. Losing your parents and watching all your friends disappear will make anyone a little antisocial. Level 1 Magi get Arcane Cascade, which is pretty close to Ekko's Z-Drive Resonance passive. After casting a spell or making a spell strike, we can enter a stance that channels part of that spell's power through our weapon. While in this stance, our melee strikes deal 1 extra force damage, or whatever damage type the spell did, and gain the Arcane trait, making them magical for overcoming resistances. This gets a little bit of a boost from our chosen hybrid study, Laughing Shadow. While in Arcane Cascade stance, we gain a +5 foot status bonus to our speed, or a +10 feet if we're unarmored. Plus, if we have a free hand and attack an off-guard creature, the stance's extra damage jumps up to +3. Laughing Shadow also grants us the Dimensional Assault Conflict spell, letting us teleport up to half our speed to a square within reach of a creature, then make a melee strike against that creature. And of course, we get the Magus' bread and butter, Spell Strike. This lets us channel a spell into a melee attack, casting a 1 or 2 action spell that requires a spell attack roll or a saving throw, and deliver it through our weapon. Spell Strike counts as 2 attacks for multiple attack penalties. If the spell uses a spell attack roll, our strike determines both the attack and the spell effects. And if the spell requires a saving throw, the target rolls normally unless we critically fail our strike, in which case the spell doesn't go off. Of course, something this powerful needs a minute to cool off. So after using Spell Strike, we can't use it again until we recharge it with a single action concentrate activity, or by casting a conflict spell with at least 1 action, like our Dimensional Assault. As for our feats, Magi aren't technically martial characters, so they don't get a class feat at level 1, but we still get an Ancestry feat. We'll take Natural Skill, which grants us training in Deception and Thievery, skills forged by the life experience only Zon can offer. Finally, at level 1, we get our spells. For our cantrips, we'll pick up Injury Ekko. We target one creature within 60 feet and choose bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing damage. The creature takes that damage with a basic will save. If it fails and then takes the same damage type again before the end of our next turn, it also suffers persistent bleed damage, like a time-looped wound that just won't quit. Sigil isn't the flashiest spell, but it fits with the Firelight aesthetic. With a touch, we place a unique magical sigil, about a square inch, on a creature or object. The mark can be visible or invisible, and we can toggle its state by touching it again. It fades naturally after a week and can be removed with up to 5 minutes of work. Warp Step speeds us up by distorting the ground to shorten distances, granting us a plus 5 foot status bonus to speed until the end of our next turn. We then get to stride twice, or burrow, climb, fly, or swim twice if we have those movement types. Tangle Vine slows down foes, though we'll need a bit of a reflavor to make it fit Ekko's theme. When we cast this spell, we make a spell attack roll against a creature within 30 feet. On a critical success, the target is immobilized and suffers a 10-foot circumstance penalty to its speed for a round, which it can remove early by escaping against their spell DC. On a normal success, they only take the speed penalty for a round, removable the same way, and on a failure, the target's unaffected entirely. And finally, Light. We create an orb of light within 120 feet that shines a bright light in the 20-foot radius and a dim light for another 20 feet. It's any color we choose, and if we create it in a willing creature's space, it can float near and follow them. We can sustain the spell to move the light up to 60 feet, and it lasts until our next daily preparations or until we cast the light spell again. It's not exactly an Ekko classic, but Zaun's alleyways aren't known for their streetlights, and if Ekko invented time travel, a flashlight seems like a no-brainer. Now, onto our ranked spells. And there's a bit of a dilemma. Magi max out at 4 spell slots to get higher in rank as we level up. That means, instead of filling out spell slots for every rank, we're focusing only on those that fit the character extremely well, and you have to pick which 4 you want for your daily preparations each day. For rank 1, that means we only need to cover Anticipate Peril, which grants us a +1 status bonus to our first initiative roll in the next 10 minutes. This isn't exactly how Ekko does it. He would usually be able to boost rolls after the fact by going back in time and trying again, but there's only so much you can expect from a level 1 spell. At level 2, we're going to bounce over to the Starfinder side of the aisle with the Witch Warper dedication. Specifically, the Precog Witch Warper, to gain training in piloting, and 2 more cantrips brought from the Occult spell list. We'll also get the Warp Reality action, letting us open up a quantum field in a 10-foot burst within 100 feet. This field does absolutely nothing yet, but it will definitely come in use before the end of the build. For those cantrips I was talking about, we'll take Guidance, which lets us see an ally's failures, and then go back in time and give them some helpful advice, granting the target a +1 status bonus to one attack roll, perception check, saving throw, or skill check before the start of our next turn. Our other cantrip will be Telekinetic Projectile, letting us throw our Time Winder to deal bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing damage to a creature within 30 feet with a spell attack roll. But it's not all about powerful magic. We also get the Slippery Prey skill feat, reducing the multiple attack penalty that we take from repeated escape attempts within the same round. And if you don't think that's just as powerful as the ability to bend time to our will, well, you've never been at the jaws of Warwick. I mean, I haven't either, but I can't imagine it's a good time. Level 3 Magi get a general feat, and we'll pick up the Fleet feat for an extra 5 feet on all of our strides. More importantly though, we'll pick up the Blur spell for our rank 2 spells, letting us blend parallel timelines together to gain concealment for 1 minute. Magus isn't exactly the most durable of classes, so avoiding enemy attacks is kind of important. At level 4, we'll pick up the basic Warp spell feat, granting us the Warp Time focus spell. With this, we can briefly alter the timeline within our quantum field, choosing one of 2 effects. We can rewind, which restores us to an earlier state and grants us temporary hit points for a minute, or we can use fast forward to age a creature to the end of its natural life cycle, dealing void damage with a fortitude save. In addition to the effects of a basic save, on a failure the target's enfeebled 1 for a round, and on a critical failure they're enfeebled 1 for a whole minute. At level 5, Magi gain lightning reflexes and weapon expertise, boosting both our reflex saves and our weapon proficiency to expert. For our ancestry feat, we'll take Clever Improviser to reflect Ekko's knack for thinking on his feet. This raises our proficiency bonus for untrained skill checks from 0 to our level -1, at least until level 7, where it increases to our full level. For our rank 3 spells, we'll get our Parallel Convergence ability with the Slow spell. We can manipulate the flow of time around a target within 30 feet to hinder their actions. The target must make a fortitude save. Even on a success, the target is slowed 1 for a round, but on a failure, they're slowed 1 for a whole minute, and on a critical failure, they're slowed 2 for that minute. We'll also get the Time Jump spell, letting us leap a few seconds ahead of time, gaining 2 actions to move, whether that's a leap, stand, step, stride, or any other movement type we have. Time freezes during this action, so our movements don't trigger enemy reactions, meaning this is a safe way to move across a battlefield that's filled with enemies. At level 6, we enhance our quantum field with the class feat, Basic Quantum Field. Now, any enemy creature that uses a move action inside of our quantum field takes a minus 5 foot status penalty to its speed during that action, while we and our allies get a plus 5 foot status bonus to our speed for move actions that we take within the field. Ekko is all about leaping ahead of the competition. Speaking of leaping ahead, the quick jump skill feat reduces the action cost of higher long jumps that we take and removes the need to stride 10 feet as part of the jump, keeping us moving fast and fluid. Ekko is a pretty dodgy character, but every once in a while, you have to take a hit. For those moments, we'll pick up the Toughness General feat at level 7, increasing our hit points by our level and reducing the DC of any recovery checks by 1. Level 7 Magi also pick up Weapon Specialization for a little extra damage, plus the Studious Spell feature, which grants us an additional spell slot that we can use to cast one of the following spells: Gecko Grip, Sure Strike, Water Breathing, or because we're Laughing Shadow Mages, Blur. These spells add both mobility and utility to our repertoire without slowing down our normal spell progression. So we still get our usual 4th rank spells, like Flicker, which allows us to rapidly bounce between timelines, gaining resistance 5 to all damage except for force, and at the end of each turn, we automatically teleport 10 feet in a random direction. Or we can choose to sustain the spell to teleport on demand. We also gain Morass of Ages, cloaking ourselves in temporal eddies to slow creatures within a 5 foot emanation. Affected creatures must make a fortitude save. On a success, the area is difficult terrain for them. On a failure, it's still difficult terrain, but they're also slowed 1. And finally, on a critical failure, they're restrained and must escape with a check against their spell DC. Each time we choose to sustain the spell, we can expand the aura by 5 feet, up to a maximum of 60 feet. At level 8, we pick up the Basic Distortion class feat to pick up Predictive Positioning. When an enemy damages us and our quantum field is active, we instantly teleport up to our speed to a space within the field. This movement ignores hazards, terrain, and any reactions that would be triggered by the movement, but it can't pass through walls or similar barriers. For even more mobility, we'll also use this opportunity to pick up the Kip Up skill feat, letting us stand up from prone as a free action without provoking enemy reactions. Level 9 Magi gain Alertness and Expert Spell Striking, boosting both our Perception and Spellcasting DCs to Expert. We also get Resolve, which raises our Will DC to Master, and converts all successful Will saves into critical successes. For our Ancestry feat, we'll take up Incredible Improvisation. Once per day, when attempting a skill check that we're untrained in, a sudden burst of insight grants us a +4 circumstance bonus to our check. It's almost like we've done this before, and again and again and again until we did it right. At 5th rank, we gain access to the Blink Charge spell for our Phase Dive ability. With this spell, we can teleport to any empty space adjacent to an enemy creature within 60 feet. We then strike that creature with our wielded weapon, and even get to add a bit of force damage to the result. We even get a bit of pity damage if we fail our strike, though if we critically fail, that damage recoils on us. Rewinding Step lets us create a temporal anchor at our current location. For the next 10 minutes, while we're within 500 feet of our anchor, we can spend a single concentrate action to instantly return us to that spot, bringing all carried items with us. If the space is occupied or the spell will transport another creature with us, the teleport fails and the spell still ends, so no trying to cheese it with your bag full of pixies. Also, I'm going to need to know why you have a bag full of pixies. At level 10, we pick up the Chrono Skimmer dedication. When we roll initiative, we have 3 options: act normally, stabilize our time stream, or destabilize it. Stabilizing sets our initiative to 10 plus our modifier, while destabilizing it requires a DC 11 flat check. On a success, our initiative becomes 19 plus our modifier, but on a failure, it drops down to 1 plus our modifier. Both of these options are considered fortune effects, and if our initiative ties an opponent's, we automatically go first. For this level skill feat, we'll choose Subtle Theft. When we successfully steal, all observers except the target takes a -2 circumstance penalty to their perception check DCs to notice our theft. Plus, if we create a diversion first, using the palm an object or steal action won't end our undetected condition. At level 11, Magi gain Medium Armor Expertise, and the Die Hard General feat, which increases our maximum die value from dying 4 to dying 5. It takes a lot to keep Ekko down. For our 6th rank spells, we get Cast into Time, unleashing temporal energy in a 15-foot cone that hurls creatures through time, dealing both mental and bludgeoning damage with a fortitude save. Affected creatures vanish until the end of our turn, reappearing in their original spaces or the nearest empty one if it's taken. On a failure, enemies take full damage and are sickened 1, and on a critical failure, not only do they take double damage, but they're sickened 2 as a result of their roller coaster ride through the timeline. Level 12 gives us the class feat Turn Back the Clock. Once per day, when we fail a skill check or a saving throw, we can rewind our personal timeline to try again. rerolling the check, but with a +1 circumstance bonus as a result of our previous experience. But we have to accept this new result, even if it's worse. We'll also pick up Powerful Leap for our rooftop races, adding 5 feet of horizontal distance to our leaps and jumps, helping us move through the battlefield with even more speed and style. At level 13, Mage gain Weapon Mastery, and an Ancestry feat. Thanks to the Advanced General Training feat, we can get an extra General feat of 7th level or lower. We'll pick up Prescient Planner, because who better than Ekko to always come prepared, or at least go back in time and be prepared after the fact. With Prescient Planner, we can spend 1 minute retrieving an undeclared item from our backpack, representing a contingency that we've planned for. This item must be a common adventuring gear, so that means no weapons, armor, alchemical items, magic items, or treasure. And it has to be light enough that we wouldn't be encumbered from holding it all this time. At 7th rank, we get powerful spells like True Target and Time Beacon. True Target lets us pick up to 4 creatures within 60 feet. We designate one as the primary target, and the first time each target attacks it during the spell's duration, they roll twice and take the better result. They also get to ignore any circumstance penalties and any flat checks the target has from being concealed or hidden, making sure that our attacks land when it counts. Time Beacon lets us set a temporal marker until the end of our turn, to which we can return if things go south. This spell can only be cast on our turn, and it records events after its casting. At the end of our turn, we can choose to rewind to just after casting, undoing everything that happened since, or at least trying to. We make a counteract check against each harmful effect that has affected us since the temporal beacon was set up. If any of these counteract checks fail, then the spell doesn't go off. We gain the Space-Time Shift class feat at level 14. When our turn begins, we can momentarily leap forward in time instantly to arrive at our destination. Until the end of our turn, our strides are replaced with teleports to any spot that we can normally reach with that movement. These augmented strides have the teleport trait and don't trigger reactions. As usual, if we can burrow, climb, fly, or swim, those movement types are augmented in the same way. We also pick up the Pickpocket skill feat, allowing us to steal or palm an object from closely guarded spots, like pockets, without the usual -5 penalty. That said, we still can't take items that are too obvious or slow to remove, like worn armor or a weapon in hand. If we have master proficiency in thievery, we can even attempt to steal it from a creature in combat, but it takes 2 actions and does take the normal penalty. Level 15 Magi gain greater weapon specialization, boosting damage on all of our strikes even further, and the Juggernaut feature, which increases our Fortitude save proficiency to master and counts all successful Fortitude saves as critical successes. We also take Tumbling Theft. This skill feat allows us to combine the actions that it would take to tumble through an enemy's space with an attempt to steal. If we critically succeed on the tumble, we can use a reaction to try and steal from them. Our tumbling grants us a +1 circumstance bonus to our thievery checks, making it harder for them to track us. We can grab an easily accessible light or negligible bulk item, like a potion or coin purse from their belt, but not anything in a container or in their hands. Technically, we also get 8th rank spells at this level, but I'm out of spells to reliably fit Ekko's team. Luckily, we've already got more than enough spells to fill our limited spell slots. At level 16, we kick our Z-Drive into Overdrive by taking the Advanced Warp spell from the Witch Warper feat list. Our precog spell, Accelerate, lets us speed up our personal timeline, gaining the Quicken condition. This extra action each round can only be used to strike, stride, or step, perfect for moving and attacking faster than the blink of an eye. We also pick up the Wary Disarmament skill feat, so if we accidentally set off a trap, we can blink back to safety. If we trigger a device or set off a trap while trying to disarm it, we gain a +2 circumstance bonus to our AC or saving throw against that specific attack or effect. This bonus only applies to the immediate consequence of the failed attempt, not to any later effects, such as ongoing effects from a complex trap. At level 17, we get Medium Armor Mastery and Master Spellcaster, boosting our armor proficiency and spellcasting DC to its highest level. We also get the Too Stubborn to Die Ancestry feat, allowing us to pull ourselves back from the brink of death by shedding the dying and unconscious conditions. If we're at 0 hit points, we instead drop to 1 hit point. Of course, shooting death does have its price. We increase both our wounded and doomed conditions by 1. At level 18, we gain Combat Premonition. When we roll initiative, instead of doing the usual destabilizing or stabilizing our own timeline, we grant 2 allies a glimpse of their future. Those allies roll initiative twice and take the better result, while we roll twice and take the worst result. Sharing the spotlight and the risk really fits Ekko's teamwork vibe. For our skill feat, we'll pick up Legendary Thief. By blending time travel and thievery, we can attempt to steal actively wielded or hard to remove items like worn shoes or armor. But it takes patience. We need to stay hidden, using darkness or crowds, and spend at least 1 minute or longer for more complex items to pull it off. Even if successful, highly noticeable items like full plate armor won't stay unnoticed for long. We pick up Titan Wrestler at level 19, letting us take on bigger threats, perfect for dealing with massive bruisers like Zaun's Chem Tanks. Now, we can disarm, grapple, reposition, shove, or trip creatures up to 2 size categories larger than us. We also get the double spell strike feature, making our limited spell slots stretch twice as far. After casting a spell strike with a spell slot, we retain an echo of that magic in our timeline. The next time that we spell strike, we can cast the same spell again without spending another spell slot. Just remember, if we cast a different spell with spell strike, or go a full minute without using this one, the echo fades harmlessly into the time stream. At level 20, we pick up Rapid Mantle, letting us pull ourselves effortlessly onto edges and stand as we grab an edge. We can use athletics instead of reflex saves to grab an edge, and if we climb or leap to within 5 feet of below an edge's top, we can pull ourselves up and stand as part of the action. We're not here to hang out. But the real crown jewel is the Time Loop focus spell, unlocked through the Greater Warp Witchwarper feat. Within our quantum field, we target up to 5 creatures, trapping them in a time loop. Each target must make a will save. Even if they succeed, they're stunned 1, but if they fail, they become stunned 2. And on a critical failure, they're stunned 3, and then after that wears off, they're slowed 1 for a minute, as they constantly find themselves falling back to square 1. And there you have it, a full build for Ekko, the boy who shattered time. Brought to life in 2nd edition. From bending timelines, dancing through combat with speed and precision, this Magus truly captures the heart of Zaun's brilliant inventor. Whether you're rewriting your mistakes or stunning enemies with relentless time loop, Ekko's got the tools to make every moment count. If you enjoyed this build, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a chance to bring your favorite fictional characters from fiction to the game. Got a character you want to see next? Drop a comment below, and you may just see that character in a future video. But until next time, keep rolling high, and we'll catch you in the next one.